Hi students, Payal Christie here and I'll be taking your English for this academic year. Dear students, today we are going to study chapter 2 from the Flamingo book and the name of the chapter is Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. Now let's have some information about the author. This chapter is written by Anis Jung. She was born in Rourkela and spent her childhood and adolescence in Hyderabad. Adolescence period means we can say that the age between 10 to 19 years. She received her education in Hyderabad and in the United States of America. Her parents were both writers. Anis Jung began her career as a writer in India. She has been an editor and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad. And she has authorized several books. Now, we can say that she was the editor. Columnist means she used to write columns in the newspapers, and she has also authored means written several books. The following is an excerpt from her book titled Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. Now here excerpt means a part which she has taken here, and we are going to study two stories from this small part, and her book name, as we all know, that is Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. Here she analyzes the grinding poverty and traditions which condemn these children to a life of exploitation. Now here we are going to study the story of two boys. Actually, we are going to study the first part today, and the main character over here is Sahib, and we are going to study how poor he is. And as we all know that the children, those who are poor, they have to live a life of exploitation. Now let's study about Sahib's background. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Now this is a sentence spoken by one boy in this chapter. Why do you do this? I ask Sahib, whom I encounter every morning, scrounging for a gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Now the author, Anis Jung, she asks Sahib that why you are searching gold in the garbage dumps of the neighborhood. Here gold is not the precious gold which we wear. Here gold means the precious things which Sahib finds from the garbage. Now from this we can make out that Sahib is a rag picker. Rag picker means the one who collects papers, plastics and other things from the garbage. Sahib left his home long ago, set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. Now actually he has left his home. That information I will give you later on. And at present he has set amidst the green fields of Dhaka, means in the middle of the green fields of Dhaka. Dhaka, as we know, that it is a capital of Bangladesh. His home is not even a distant memory, means the home which he has left in the past. Actually, he doesn't even remember how his home was. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. his mother tells him. Now this is, he is telling us about his past home, that his home and fields were swept away in a very heavy storms, and that his mother tells him. That's why they left looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. And that's why they have left that place, and at present they have set in Dhaka looking for the precious things in the garbage. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Means he looks here and there and he says, I have nothing else to do except as a rag picker life. Go to school, I say glibly. Now the author tells Sahib to go to school. Now here glibly means we just say confidently anything without thinking, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. Now afterwards the author realizes the advice which she has given to Sahib, that is hollow, false. Because the place where they live, there is no school over there at present, and in the future also there is no possibility that any school is going to be set up there. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. So Sahib says to the author that there is no school in his neighborhood, and when there will be built one, he will surely go to school. If I start a school, will you come? Now this is a question asked by the author to Sahib, that if she starts a school, will he come? I ask half joking. Now she is just joking because she herself also knows to build a school in Dhaka, that is impossible. Yes, he says, smiling broadly. Now actually if the school would be there, Sahib would surely go. So whenever he listens about this word school, a broad smile comes on his face. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Now this was a conversation, and after some days, few days later, and Sahib comes running to the author and says, is your school ready? This is a question asked by Sahib. It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that would not meant. Now the author over here is little bit ashamed. When Sahib came and asked him that, have you built a school? And that was a promise which would not be fulfilled. The author also knew this thing, that she won't be able to build a school for Sahib. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. Now here the meaning of the bleak is dark. As we all know that Sahib belongs to very poor family. And this type of promises, many a times it is not fulfilled also. So it is not a new thing for him. He is not shocked, even if this promise is broken. After months of knowing him, I ask him his name. Now as the months pass and the author and Sahib, they meet frequently. Now the author asks his name, and his name he says, Sahib-e-Alam. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, the meaning of Sahib-e-Alam is Lord of Universe. The meaning, once again students, please note, the meaning of Sahib-e-Alam means Lord of Universe. He would have a hard time believing it. Even if Sahib would know the meaning of his name, it would be very hard for him to believe, as we all know that he belongs to a very poor family, where he struggles even to get meals, 2 meals a day. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appears like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Now, he also has many friends and he roams in his street, and the army of barefoot boys. Barefoot boys means the boys, those who don't have any chappals to wear. Now they appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. As we all know that the birds generally they are seen in the morning and they disappear at noon. In the same way, this Sahib and his friends also, they play in the morning time and they disappear in the noon time. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. Now, as the time passes, the author also recognizes other friends of Sahib. Why aren't you wearing chappals? I ask one. Now, this is a question asked by the author, that why aren't you wearing chappals? My mother did not bring them down from the shelf, he answered simply. Now Sahib says that his mother has not brought down from the shelf. Even if she did, he will throw them off, adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. Now the another boy says that even if his mother would have given him the chappals, he would throw them off. And the another boy who is wearing the shoes that do not match, means it is not a pair of shoes matching with each other. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. Shuffles means moves his feet and says nothing. I want shoes, says a third boy who has never owned a pair all his life. Now the third boy, he has never worn shoes in his life, and his wish is he wants a pair of shoes. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot. Now as she moves further, she travels across the country. She sees children walking barefoot in cities, on village roads. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. Now one of the boys says that it is a tradition to walk barefoot in the cities and on the village roads. It is not a lack of money. That is what an explanation given by one boy. I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. Now, generally we know that it is not any custom, okay, but any tradition. But the main thing is that this is just an excuse that these poor people they give, because they don't want to tell anyone or share with anyone that they are poor. And this is a everlasting, perpetual means everlasting state of poverty. And to hide their poverty, this is the explanation given that it is a tradition to not to wear shoes. I remember a story. Now we are going to study a story of another boy. And I remember a story. The author remembers a story a man from Udupi once told me. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple, that is near the old temple, where his father was a priest. Now this boy's father was a priest. Priest means we can say pujari. he would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. Now see, that boy, he used to go to the temple and he used to pray only for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, now after 30 years later, the author visited his town and the temple, means the author visited the same place 30 years later. The name of the place is Udupi, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. Desolation means barren. In the backyard where lived the new priest. Now there was a new priest in the place of that old priest. And in the backyard means we can say the broad place behind the house, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform. Now she sees a boy. Who is that boy? He is a son of the priest and he is dressed in grey uniform. He is wearing socks and shoes. Arrived panting. Panting means we can say like the heartbeats when you run very fast and the heartbeats increases. Okay, that is somewhat the meaning of panting. And threw his school bag on a folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Now we remember that before 30 years there was a priest and that boy also prayed for the pair of shoes. Now this boy, he has also prayed for the pair of shoes and he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Means the goddess has heard his prayer and given him the pair of shoes. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes. But many others like the rag pickers in my neighborhood remain shoeless. Now here rag pickers means we will just get an idea of Sahib. They live in an extreme poverty and that's why they don't have the pair of shoes. And she remembers the rag pickers in her neighborhood. She remembers Sahib and his friends, those who remain shoeless. Thank you, students. Now I am ending my session over here. I'll give you some questions and meanings related to it. If you have any queries regarding this chapter, you can just ask me in my personal WhatsApp number. God bless you. Stay safe, stay home and safe. Thank you and have a nice day.